listening to the Make Do Review.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Make Do Review. My name is Jack.
My name is Emily.
And today on the Make Do Review podcast, we are reviewing Stranger Things Seasons 1, 2 and 3. How are you, Emily?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How about you, Jack?
I'm very good today.
Good.
Today is a good day. A nice day off for me and you from work. And we're back on the podcast.
We're back and we are reviewing something that we are both huge fans of.
Yeah, only recently for me though. Emily has been watching Stranger Things since season 1 came out. She's been watching it with her family. And when season 3 came out, I ended up binge watching the 3 seasons in the span of like 3 days.
Yeah.
So, and I also ended up finishing season 3 before Emily and her family.
Yeah, my family and I liked to pace ourselves and watch maybe 1 or 2 episodes a night.
Yeah.
And you had never seen it, and yeah, you finished all 3 seasons before we even finished the 3rd one.
I'm just too impatient when it comes to TV series. I have to like finish it straight away. Otherwise, I can't stop thinking about it.
So, we are going to talk about all 3 series today.
Yeah, and the way that's going to work, we're going to introduce each season, give a quick synopsis. So this whole episode of the Make Do Review is going to be full of spoilers. We're just going to go right into it. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's on Netflix, all 3 seasons. It's worth a watch. Only 25 episodes. You'll get it done, just like me, within 3 days, if you're that crazy. Oh, but it was so worth it. I'm glad I did it. I was happy just to binge watch it all, and then I was all caught up, and then we can talk about it.
Once you're hooked, you're hooked.
Yeah, once you're hooked, you're hooked. So, Stranger Things, Season 1 released in 2016, Season 2 released in 2017, and Season 3 released this year on July 1st. Currently streaming on Netflix and directed and written by the Duffer Brothers, also known as Matt and Ross, with a runtime of each episode around 40 to 42 minutes, and with a total of 25 episodes so far. And I try to get a quick, like a rough estimate of how many streams this series is, each season has gotten, and all I could really find was that the last season of Stranger Things accumulated around 26 million streams, and it had like over 860,000 streams on the day it released.
Blimey.
Which is crazy. And that's just in the US, I think. So, like worldwide, I don't know. It'll be crazy. I think it's the most streamed show on Netflix.
That doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise me either. So, to begin with, Season 1. Emily, would you like to give a quick overview of what happens in Season 1?
So, Stranger Things, overall, is set in the fictional rural town of Hawkins, Indiana, during the early 1980s. There is a nearby laboratory called the Hawkins National Laboratory, which performs scientific research for the US Department of Energy, supposedly, but secretly it does experiments into the paranormal and the supernatural, including those that involve human test subjects. Inadvertently, they have created a portal to an alternate dimension called the Upside Down. The influence of the Upside Down starts to affect the unknowing residents of Hawkins in disastrous ways. So, the first season begins in November 1983 when Will Byers is abducted by a creature from the Upside Down. His mother, Joyce, and the town's police chief, Jim Hopper, search for Will. At the same time, a young girl called Eleven escapes from the laboratory, who has special mind powers, and assists Will's friends Mike, Dustin, and Lucas in their own efforts to find Will.
Well done.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I'll give off what I thought of the first season. Straight off the bat, the first season is the best season. The show was originally meant to be only a one season show. and you can tell when as it gets later into the other seasons. But overall, the cast are stellar. The direction is fantastic. The cinematography is also amazing. The time it's set in is, honestly, it's my favorite setting of all time. The 80s. I'm a sucker for 80s stuff. The soundtrack is incredible. The theme, fantastic. But yeah, overall, I absolutely love the first season. What about you?
So this season, I love kind of sci-fi and fantasy and things like that. And I really enjoyed this series because the acting, especially from some of the child actors, in particular, Millie Bobby Brown and Noah,
who was like, I think she was like 11 at the time.
Yeah.
When it first started.
So 11 and Will, they have some intense scenes and they play them with such maturity and depth. It's incredible to watch coming from kids. I love the intricacy of all the different character storylines and how they kind of weave together. And the writing is just incredible. It has nods to other sci-fi films, especially from the 80s, but it doesn't feel like it's a rip-off of something else or like it's trying to be something that it's not. It feels really original, and it's fun to have those little nods in there. So I just really enjoyed this first series. It was incredible to watch. I don't think I'd watched something quite like it for a long time.
Yeah, just the theme of it all and the setting, and just these like amazingly written characters as well. Like, there's not a single character you like can't stand. You know how there's always a show, there's a character you're like, oh great, now I need to listen to them. There are like obviously like bad guys and all that and bad people, but they're still interesting characters and you want to see what happens to them. But yeah, the standouts for me in this season are David Harbour and Winona Ryder as Hopper and Joyce. Because before Stranger Things came out, Winona Ryder hadn't been on the scene in a while, and this was like her major comeback, and she is fantastic. She puts her heart and soul in it, and she looks like a distraught mother. Yeah. You know, and the things that she goes through is exactly what I think any mother would do if their son went missing or child went missing. She is just fantastic. David Harbour is hilarious in that, like in all three seasons. He's just such a funny, and he's just great. He's like just that no nonsense cop, and you know he's easily became one of my favorite actors in recent years, because he's an absolute joy to watch. And but yeah, what the Duffer Brothers did for this season is just like amazing. It's like such a clear story, and just interesting. Like, you know, it's just interesting, this story that they created, like the whole thing with the upside down. It's just fantastic. My major flaw with it is it has that kind of TV budget CG issue, where when you see like the creatures, like the Demodogs and the Demogorgons and all. Actually, the Demodogs aren't until the second season. The Demogorgons, they just look a bit off, but they did a good job of keeping them in the dark, which is a good tactic. Like, keep your CG in dark areas so you don't see like the bad textures. I think that's my biggest issue with all three seasons, is sometimes the CG is a bit off. I wish they went practical, but apparently they did try. They did try to go practical, but for them it just didn't look right, and then they had to go CG, which is fine. But yeah, what would you say was your standout moment in this season? Like your favorite moment in this season? Do you want me to say mine first?
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite moment is when Hopper wakes up after, like, he kind of got captured by the Hawkins lab, and he wakes up in his house mysteriously. And then he goes frantic, and you don't know what he's doing. He's like tearing apart his lamps, his phone, and like tearing up the walls and throwing his furniture about, and you don't really know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, there's like one lampshade, like the light on the ceiling. There's that last shade, and he takes it apart, and then he finds a wire, like a microphone wire, and he realizes that they've tapped into his house. And then when he goes straight to Joyce's house because he realizes that she's right. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Is that your favorite?
I just realized. I just remembered what my favorite part is.
But yeah, he goes to Joyce's house and he's banging on the door, and she's like, "What is it, Harper?" And she opens the door, and he has that note, and he's like, "Don't." It says something like, "Don't speak. They're listening." And it's just such an amazing like moment for me. That was when I was like, "Oh yes, yeah!" Like up in my seat, like buzzing. Like I was like, "It's all kicking off now." And it's also a great moment for Joyce's character because he believes her finally. He believes that something's going on. Right. So I seen in your eyes light up. So you've obviously.
So my favorite part is where Joyce realizes she can communicate to Will, who's in the Upside Down, through the electrics.
The lights.
She realizes the electrics are going funny, so she brings out this string of coloured
Christmas lights.
Yeah, and she writes letters with paint on the wallpaper.
Yeah,
and he will light up the different light to spell things out.
Yeah, it was like the alphabet on the wall.
Yeah. So, I just that whole concept is so creative. Visually, it's lovely to look at. And her acting in that, like she's so frantic, like she's so overjoyed that she's like finally like getting some response from him and she can talk to him. But she's also feeling like, she's going a bit crazy. But,
but didn't you like the first moment when she realizes like before she goes crazy with the lights, she has like a set of Christmas lights, and she goes into like this cupboard and it starts to glow when she's talking to him.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Can you please like talk to me, please tell me something?"
Yeah. That whole scene.
Yeah.
That is my favorite. Yeah.
Like that whole that's fantastic. I do love that moment. Which, is a standout. So overall, I feel like the first season is my absolute favorite. The kids are amazing. The backstory with we haven't even spoke about 11 yet. But yeah, the whole story with 11 and her backstory is just so interesting. The relationship between her and Finn Wolfhard's character Mike is great. It's that cute child actors falling for each other. It's amazing. The creative ideas, like when they have to build the sensory deprivation tank in the school, is also great. It's just the creative things in this show, and all the different details they like put in it. It's just fantastic. I absolutely love this show. I absolutely love this season. Emily, what would you give the first season out of 5?
I would give this season 5 Demogorgons out of 5.
Yeah, I would give it 5 5 missing Wills.
Oh God.
Out of 5. Will. Okay. Yeah, I would give the first season 5 out of 5 as well. It's truly one of my favorite seasons of a show out there right now, and you have to watch it. It is amazing.
Season 2.
Yeah, moving on to season 2.
So the second season is set a year later in October 1984. Will has since been rescued, but we don't know very many details of the events. When it's discovered that Will is still being influenced by the entities from the Upside Down, his friends and family learn there is a larger threat to the universe from the Upside Down monsters.
Ooh. So, Emily, what did you think of season 2, Stranger Things?
Season 2 was good,
Good start.
but
So but
the way that the seasons tend to work is you have the different sets of characters and it follows their different storylines.
which it does, yeah.
Yeah, and I liked all of the storylines apart from Elle's.
It's the worst.
Just
It's the worst.
her going to find her mum, like, yeah, that was kind of fine, but the direction it then went with her going off to these random people that were also like her, I can see why they did it, but I just, I didn't warm to those other characters. I wanted her. I don't know what I wanted from Elle, but I just didn't really like that storyline, that direction that it went into. Whereas with all the other characters and how their relationships developed and changed throughout this next series, I really enjoyed that.
But we got introduced to 2 more characters.
We did.
And one of them is one of my favourites. It's just, he's fantastic. Dacre Montgomery as Billy. And then the new character, the new female child of Max, Mad Max. But yeah, I just have to give, before we talk about this season, I have to give a massive shout out to Dacre Montgomery. When we were in uni, we were actually shown his self-tape that got sent to that he sent to the Stranger Things casting director, and it's just amazing because it makes me like see myself. I'm just like, this guy's like us. He had no work. He made a tweet about it, how he like hadn't gotten anything for like a solid 5 years or something, and he didn't give up, and then he sent his self-tape to this show and he got the part.
And he went for it in this self-tape.
And he went for it. I have to recommend, it's on YouTube, Dacre Montgomery's self-tape Stranger Things. It's incredible, just because usually people will get laughed at. If you watch it, you understand. You might get laughed at, like, and completely like, no, that's a joke. But because he goes all out for it, he's fantastic. It makes you go, yes, he is Billy.
It's not like a half-hearted attempt. Like, he just full on goes for it, so it doesn't look stupid because it works.
Yeah, exactly. It as a regular actor, you might think it's a bit unconventional, because a self-tape is meant to be just you being the character that is written and saying the lines. But he like adds music, he's like got his shirt off and everything, and he's like, Anyway, I absolutely love Dacre Montgomery. Massive shout out.
Jack, what did you think of season 2?
I hate season 2. No, I'm not kidding. I hate Elle in season 2. Elle should have been in season 1. That was it. She disappears. We continue with these other characters. We have 2 new characters that make it interesting. Elle should have been gone. In my opinion, she does get better. She does become more interesting in season 3. Yeah. Yeah, I love the story. Once again, I love Hopper, and I love Joyce and the kids. But what bothers me the most out of everything is they just did the same thing. There's new stuff, but the main story, the way these seasons work is there's a main story. So the first season is Will goes missing, and then there's branching stories that meet in the middle of the main story. And in this story, it's Will is possessed by what was it called again?
The Mind Flayer.
The Mind Flayer. Separate storylines. They meet to close the gate. It's kind of the same thing. But what annoys me is pretty much the same situation. Will, once again, in the Upside Down, he's possessed. I hate...
Elle saves the day.
Elle saves the day. Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. But yeah, I think most people all agree the storyline with Elle going off on her own adventure is just not done well at all. that it could have been interesting. Yeah, there's other kids out there who were experimented on. That's interesting. That's really interesting. But the way that they portrayed it was just wrong. You know, the whole thing that they're sisters and all that, it didn't make sense. The mum thing I didn't like. It got confusing and it got lost. It looked like there was like 10 different people writing this story. And then she ends up just running away from them. Yeah, and they try to make Elle a murderer. They try to get Elle to go to find these people that experimented on them and kill them. And then it's just this whole thing. And then they turn her into this goth punk kid. It's just, it doesn't work. She's not like that at all. I didn't like it, even though I thought she looked cool, you know, cool as fuck. But no, I didn't like it. Yeah, I'm truly trying. I'm trying to think what my standout moments. Yeah, and another shout out to Bob.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, Bob. He is fantastic. Samwise Gamgee himself. I absolutely love Bob in this.
That death.
Oh.
Was
Sean Astin.
Oh,
it's brutal.
It was brutal.
Actually, that I we probably agree that might be our favorite moments is him trying to get out. It's between that or the map when they try to decipher. Actually, there's right. Before I hate on this season too much, there is like 3 standout moments to me. The moment where they're deciphering Will's map that he's drawing of the underground tunnels.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, Bob's death, and I had it in my head. I've lost it. You know that bit. You know.
Do you want me to come back to you?
Oh, it's gone. It's gone. There's definitely 3 moments, but I've forgotten. Anyway, you give me, what was your favorite moment in this season? Actually, because we both don't like this season, what's your favorite moment in this season and your least favorite moment in this season?
My least favorite moment is where they try to make Elle the murderer, and they're in that house, and the sister's giving her all this talk about, you know, they've done this to us, blah 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 blah. My favorite moment, I really enjoyed where Jonathan and Nancy are with Murray, and they've been talking about everything that's going on.
Marty as well.
And
he's a new character.
And then he basically is just like, just get together already. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
That was quite a funny section. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I still can't remember what my other favorite moment was. Anyway, it's between the moment where Bob is trying to escape the lab, which is great. It's like a cat and mouse chase, and then at the end he inevitably. Oh, I remember! It's the Morse code bit where they're trying to get Will to talk. That's a great moment because it's really personal, and then all the characters are trying to get Will to remember all these great memories that they've all had together. And the only way he can communicate is through tapping his hand in Morse code. But they have to like blindfold him and stick him in a room that he doesn't recognize, so that the mind flare can't send
like
the
a
demidogs.
Shed or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's it's his back garden shed. That's a great moment. And yeah, the moment where Bob solves Will's map and realizes, that's the lake, that's Lover's Lake. And then they realize it's a map, and then they have to go in the underground tunnels. All great stuff. Also, my favorite. I also love Steve in this season because he transitions from being the asshole bully into like this actually really nice guy. Because him and is it Nancy?
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Nancy are still dating, which I thought was weird. See, when the season started and they were still going out, it didn't feel right at all.
No.
Which they were just setting up for her and Jonathan, Mike's brother, to get together, which they do, which is fine.
Will's brother.
Will's brother. No, it's not. Oh, Will's brother. Yeah, sorry. It's Mike's sister, and yeah, that's it. But yeah, overall, there is some good moments, but the season as a whole is kind of ruined because it's the same kind of situation. It's like they just ran out. They didn't have an idea, and then they just cobbled together all these different ideas and just went with it. The season is overall ruined by Elle, I would say.
What would you give it out of 5?
I don't know. I'll give it 3 bitchin' stars out of 5. That's my favorite line.
That's from the 3rd series, isn't it?
No, it's from the 2nd season. When she goes, "How do you feel?" and she goes,
"Oh yeah,
bitchin'."
I would have to give this
3 bitchin'
series.
stars.
I'm gonna give it 4.
4?
4 Bobs out of 5.
Oh, Bob.
Because I loved every other part of it apart from that Elle storyline.
Bob.
So yeah.
No, the reason I give it a much lower score is because it was kind of disappointing. I was on that hype, because I was binge watching it. I was like on that hype of Stranger Things. I was like, it can only get better. But no, it took a massive dip, and I was bored. I think that was the main issue. I was very bored. Great stuff, great acting, great cinematography, great direction, an amazing score. Bad story, in my opinion. Season 3!
Season 3 is set
moving on up!
several months later, in the days leading up to the 4th of July celebrations in 1985. The new Starcourt Mall has become the centre of attention for Hawkins residents, putting most other stores out of business. Hopper becomes increasingly concerned about Eleven and Mike's relationship, while still trying to care for Joyce. Unbeknownst to the town, a secret Russian laboratory under Starcourt Mall seeks to open a gateway to the Upside Down, allowing the entities from the Upside Down to possess people in Hawkins and creating a new horror to deal with.
We completely forgot to mention Hopper and Elle, like Hopper saving Elle and taking her in and being like a father figure for her in the 2nd season.
Which becomes much more important in this last series.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter because it's only a little bit. And there's some great scenes with them together, and he's just trying to keep her safe. But she doesn't want to listen. That's I think that was another reason why I didn't like that season. Listen to Hopper. Anyway, season 3. Yeah, I liked season 3. I think it was good. It had like a peppier tone this time.
It did.
The last 2 seasons were quite dark and serious tones, whereas I feel like this one was a bit more colorful and like happy and not really happy. There's still some weird stuff going on, but it just felt more energetic.
I think
and funnier as well.
Because the end of season 2 had kind of had Elle closing the gate, they were able to do it because there wasn't any kind of question in people's minds of it not being, apart from Joyce, who's still paranoid, there's not really...
Oh, yeah, because it's all over. Yeah,
so they think it's all over, which is why I think they were able to start it off a bit more lighthearted and drop things in slowly. No,
it's not over. It was hinted in the end of season 2 that it was still lurking.
Well, to us, the viewers, yeah.
Yeah, to us, yeah. But yeah, that's actually a really good point. It had a happier tone because everyone's obviously like, yeah, life is great. There's no evil monster.
We've got some new characters. We've got Robin.
Maya Hawke.
Who's working with Steve in Chips Ahoy.
Chips Ahoy. What is he always... No, I don't know.
Is it Ahoy? Ahoy?
Hoi hoi. Yeah. Is there any more? No, that's not really, isn't it?
We also have Alexei
Oh yeah, Alexei.
with his wonderful slushy obsession,
Mm.
who becomes friends with Murray.
Smirnoff, as Hopper calls him. Yeah. Is it? You go first. What did you think?
I really enjoyed this season.
Mm.
I think it had, yeah, as you said, a much happier tone to the others. And even when the characters were dealing with the kind of upside down and the Russian spies and everything, because they'd had 2 seasons of fighting these secret organizations and these monsters under their belt, they felt a lot more confident in what they were doing. There was less thinking of like, oh, what do we do, and more, right, we're just gonna do this. I know exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this and that. And it just felt a bit more badass.
Didn't rely on Elle either.
It didn't, and it was nice to see.
She didn't really.
The characters growing even more.
Yeah, because they were like, we've been through this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything else?
Also, I enjoyed it because it was new. Like, the obstacles that they had to overcome were different to the first 2, because it's a whole set of it's another organization in another place, and they're doing things slightly differently, and the mind flayers operating differently. So that was refreshing. What about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this season. Still prefer season 1. But yeah, I loved the new additions. I loved Maya Hawke as Robin. She was very funny. Her and Steve's bond with each other, and their the way they get into situations together with Dustin, and what was Thingy's sister called?
Lucas's sister.
Lucas, yeah. Yeah.
You keep talking. And
but they had, so the way this the way this season is set out is it's like 3 groups, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have Scoop Troop.
No, I'd say 4 now, actually.
Is there 4? So Scoop Troop, there's like the Smirnoff gang, as I'm gonna call them.
The other kids.
Yeah, the other kids.
Then there's Nancy and Jonathan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I have to say, Steve and Hopper in this season is like just comedy gold. Steve is now full on babysitter and mama Steve, and Hopper is like full dad mode. Even the actor even said that like he wanted to get a little bit fatter, and he wanted to be Fat Hopper.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, and the whole like 3 inches. It's hilarious. He goes like full dad with 11 and Mike, and that whole relationship is just hilarious. But yeah, overall, I prefer this season over the second season. I love the whole thing with Billy as well. How he becomes like the main threat. He's the new he's the new mind flayer essentially, and he's like rounding up people for the mind flayer to like take over. And it's quite creepy, this one, and quite menacing. But yeah, all the actors are great. The plot line of like Russians like taking over Hawkins and try to open up the gate, it still has that trouble of like there's still breaching on the same story. They still got the upside down and opening the gate and all that. It's still a bit like, oh, come on, we've done that. There's so much more you can talk about now, But anyway, yeah, a step in the right direction, and it has me excited for the next season.
Yeah.
Like where they're going to go now. So what was your standout moments in this season?
I have 2.
Oh, okay.
And it all involves the same characters. The first,
Steve and
no.
Oh.
Okay, the ones that I was gonna say.
Okay.
The first one is when Joyce and Hopper, Alexei and Murray are in Murray's basementy house thing.
Yeah, like his den.
And Hopper's just getting so angry because Alexei won't talk unless he gets the exact right flavour of slushy. And
strawberry,
I think.
but you get some raspberry,
and then
or is it the other way around?
And then Joyce is like calling. They call up this number that they were all told to call.
It's
after the first one.
It's for the army, and he yeah.
So I think Hopper calls, and then Joyce is like, "You didn't like make it urgent enough." Blah blah blah. So then she calls up again, just like his angry mum, and just has a real go at this guy. Like, this is so urgent. I just love that, the whole dynamics between all the characters. And then my second one is when, again, the 4 of them are at this fair towards the end. Murray and Alexei have gone off to play these carnival games. Hopper is trying to go against these Russian spies. Joyce... Where's Joyce? I can't remember what she's doing. She's also here. She's looking for the kids, I think. Or in the car.
Where's this?
At the carnival.
She's with Hopper.
Yeah. So
they're looking for Joyce makes them go to the carnival to look for the kids, whereas Hopper's like, no, we should be going there. But yeah, they're all at the carnival.
They're all at the carnival. And I loved everything that was happening with that and the build up in that scene as well.
No, the Terminator.
And poor Alexei.
Poor Alexei.
Who wins and then...
Oh yeah, it's really sad. Yeah.
It's really sad.
When he wins and
he's like celebrating with Murray.
And Murray's got the corn dogs and he just gets shot. It's brutal. Yeah, I liked how this season kind of focused more on like Hopper and Joyce and Alexei and Murray. Their whole side quest was probably, well, I don't know. It was great. And then and also with the Scoop Troop, the Chips Ahoy gang, they're breaking into the Russian spy base. That was a whole great thing. Actually, that whole bit where they're trying to figure out the riddle, like the password kind of thing. Yeah, that whole sequence is great as well. But yeah, I don't know what my favorite moment is. I like the Hopper's ending. You know, Hopper maybe dead. But yeah, it's a nice moment because right before then, Joyce and Hopper agree to meet again for a date, which is nice. Yeah, I think my favorite moment, just because how hilarious it was that scene where about the slushy, and then Hopper goes crazy, like beats the shit out of Alexei, throws him outside, gives him the keys to the cuffs, gives him the keys to the car, and then he's like, "You want a slushy? Go get your own slushy." And then he goes back into the house, and they're like, "Are you crazy? You just let him get away?" And then he's like, "No. He'll understand. He'll understand what I'm trying to do." And then you hear him uncuff his cuffs, go in the car and drive off, and then he's having that doubt. And then they run outside, and then the camera pans around, and he's just like he's like stuck there in the car because he realizes if he runs off, he'll die. They're there to keep him safe, and then he realizes, and then it's the whole, and then he says raspberry taste is the same as strawberry. Yeah, he's like, it's the same damn flavor.
I have to give a shout out to another moment.
Yeah, was Stephen. No,
this one's to Dustin.
I want to talk about this moment.
This one's to Dustin and Susie.
Dustin's alleged girlfriend, like beforehand, and then Oh yeah, that whole moment where
Dustin and Susie, where they sing "The Never Ending Story," is
Yeah.
hands down one of the greatest moments of the entire 3 seasons.
for me, it's a bittersweet moment because one is so sweet and hilarious, but also it's just ridiculous. They're in this like do or die urgent moment, and then they just stop everything to sing a song, just to get like it's like something's comet.
It's a code.
Yeah, it's a code, and it's like a star sign. I can't remember. It's something comet. But yeah, that's a really funny moment. The moment I wanted to talk about was the moment between Steve and Robin, when they're like high on truth serum, and they're in the toilets together and they're just talking, and then Steve confesses his feelings. He's like, I really like you, but then she's like, oh, but I like, remember the girl in our school? Yeah, she was the worst and all, but she was like, but I like her. It's a really sweet moment. It was really nicely done as well.
Yeah,
I like it when it's handled with grace.
It didn't feel forced.
It's not forced at all, and it's a nice little like it's a nice little nugget of character there. Emily, what would you give Stranger Things season 3 out of 5?
4.5 Chips Ahoy out of 5.
I'm going to give season 3 4 strawberry slushies out of 5.
Solid.
Yeah, it's a solid season. I do have to say it's a solid 3-season show right now, and hopefully we'll see soon what the next season's about. I'm hoping it'll come out next year, but like season 3 took 2 years.
What are your predictions for season 4?
Obviously, at the end of season 3, they hinted towards that maybe Hopper is still alive. But I don't think it was that obvious. Because it was in a Russian base, and it was like, it's like leave the American. So obviously everyone's like, oh, it's Hopper, but I think it's someone else. I'm not sure who. I had a hint. I had a feeling that it might have been the Doctor in the first season and the first season. The one Elle's dad, yeah. I had a feeling it might have been him, but I'm not sure. But if I'm honest, I don't know where they're gonna take it. I want them to do something new. They have split up the cast, not the cast, like the group. So Elle, Joyce, and Thingy, his brother,
Jonathan.
Yeah, they've all moved away from Hawkins, which is for the best.
I wonder if this next series doesn't take place so much in Hawkins anymore.
Well, I hope it does, and I hope it just focuses on different characters now. The first 2 seasons were really focused on Will and Joyce and Hopper, and now they're all gone, kinda. Now there's a room for new characters and new story. But I don't know, because it's obviously more focused on Russians now. So I still believe that the show should have been 1 season. Like a really planned out first season, which is what the Duffer Brothers wanted to do, but then they obviously had to make it that it was going to be more seasons. So
yeah.
But overall, it's an amazing show. It's on Netflix, and you should watch it. I definitely recommend it. It's one of the best shows out there, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen it and you've just listened to this, you've had a hell of a lot of spoilers, but it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So still go and see it. So
would you say your ranking of the shows from best to worst would be 1, 3, and 2?
100%.
Yeah, I think that's a general consensus of the show. That's what everyone prefers. But I think a lot of people do like the second season. But I'm just nah. it was like a little hiccup. It was like a hiccup on the show. Like, oh, we tried something, it didn't work. We know what to do now.
I enjoyed the series as a whole. It was just the Elle storyline that I wasn't too fond of.
But anyway, thank you so much for listening once again to the podcast. Please follow us on social media at the Make Do Review on Instagram and Twitter. You can also email us any suggestions on TV shows and movies you would like us to review and watch at the Make Do podcast at gmail.com. That's the Make Do podcast at gmail.com. We are now available on Spotify, iTunes, our host Anchor, and TuneIn Radio. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next Wednesday. My name is Jack.
My name is Emily.
And that will do.
That will do.
You're listening to the Make Do Review.